Hi, I'm Jeff Cohn, founder of Elite Real Estate Systems, today's team coaching solution. We're excited to invite you to our 2022 Team Building Summit, hosted by Elite Real Estate Systems and our industry partners. Join us in downtown Omaha, Nebraska from June 1st through June 3rd, 2022, and hear from high-level team leaders, broker owners, industry experts, and thought leaders from across the country. Learn from their business methodologies that made them dominant powerhouses. Learn more about this content-filled two-day event at theteambuildingsummit.com. Use discount code TBS22 for $100 off your ticket purchase. See you in June. Hey, what's up, you guys? Jeff Cohn here with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, where we interview top team leaders, broker owners, and thought leaders from across the country. Today, we have a very special guest and friend of mine in the CEO and founder of Sisu, Mr. Brian Charlesworth. Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm glad to be here. I guess in that category, I would fit in the thought leader of those three categories.
100%. And Brian, you've done a lot of things leading up to your Sisu adventure, and I'd love you to tell that to our audience members. And I will let everyone know, in full disclosure, I'm also an investor in Sisu. And so anything and everything we talk about today, make sure you know that I believed in it so much that I was willing to put my own money into it and then, of course, use it myself. So really excited for Brian to tell a story. And I know we've had you on here before, Brian, but I know our audience has a lot to gain from all of your expertise in history and industry. And I'm excited to talk about everything you're doing right now.
Okay, so you just want to hear about my background. So I'll just keep this quick because I know we're on a short timeline here. But I've always been passionate about technology. I was at MCI back in the days when the internet became the internet. Back when people were learning how to use email. Most of you in real estate probably don't remember that far back. But I had just graduated from college, and that's what I was about. And so I've always been passionate about the internet and what you could do with it. So I left MCI and started a company that resold long distance and resold. I was the first Nextel dealer in Utah and Nevada. And I sold that business in 18 months. And then I started the first voice internet company. So the stuff you do on Siri, Alexa, and Google, we were doing in the wireless networks back in the year 2000.
Wow.
And so,
that's cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of my background. That's what I love doing. And then when I sold that business, I started in buying franchise companies. So I bought Housemaster Home Inspections. I invested in Budget Blinds. You guys are probably familiar with those too. And when I sold those, Spring asked me to come help her grow her real estate business while I was figuring out what I wanted to do next. And so having come from all these different industries and looking at the real estate industry, I was able to see, just as I'm helping her run her team, and at that time her team was 5 agents. It's now 55 agents. but just the pain of trying to manage a sales team, trying to have these processes for your ops team, using things like Google Forms and Google Spreadsheets and Trello and Monday.com, and just having to put the same data into 6 or 7 platforms. And what I realized back then is that most people don't have the data they need at their fingertips so they can make good decisions to run their business. Most people don't have the things they need to be able to effectively lead their sales agents. So, in your one-on-ones, are you their counselor or are you their coach? Right. So, and then the last thing is, if every time your admin team is putting duplicate data entry, like you need to figure out like what systems are they putting data in over and over again? And you need to eliminate that. So that's really what Sisu was built for, is to really solve those problems.
It's funny, Brian, all these things you're bringing up, a lot of people listening don't even know these are problems. And that's simply a cause of people not choosing to be self-actualized. Most people are chasing the next commission check. And that's okay for a time. But then there comes a point where to be able to grow and make more money in less time with less energy, you have to help other people grow. And the process of helping other people grow is much different than when you had to help yourself grow. It's a lot harder to help other people because they're not as motivated as you, or as educated as you, or as dedicated as you, or as consistent as you. And so to me, a program like Sisu is really there for a business entrepreneur who wants to help the people in his or her world make more money in less time with less energy. And in so doing and serving the people around you by giving them the ability to be just like you, you're going to help them live and lead the lives of their dreams. And you're going to be able to acquire people because of the company you've built and the services you're able to give to them. I mean,
you're right, Jeff. I mean, that's the hardest thing. What happens is if you're in real estate and you've been successful at selling and what's the next step? Most people think, okay, I'm going to build a team. Okay, just because you're great at selling real estate doesn't make you a great leader. And so it's critical, like if you want to build this massive team of 50 plus agents or even 20 agents, you need to start thinking like somebody that's built a 20 or 50 agent team, right? It's a different thought process. And you have to be willing to step out of production.
100%. I know that's easier said than done. A lot of our clients were into the hundreds now. A lot are still in production. And what I share with people listening right now is be in production forever. That's fine. Be okay with that, but just make sure you know that you are choosing with your eyes wide open to have an active role, and make sure that some of these levers have been put into place, like what Sisu provides. Back in 2011, we launched our real estate team. And I always talk about in 6 years, we went from 70 to 700, but I don't talk about the first 3 years. We actually went from 70 to 425 sides in 3 years. Our first year was 70 to 240 sides. And that was the most amount of growth from a percentage, 70 to 240 sides. We didn't have Sisu. We did that in Excel. And then we went to 425 and then 550 and then 6 something and then 700 something. And last year we sold over 2,000 houses. And the reason we were able to scale was because of systems like Sisu. We could have never done it without Sisu. Everything we built would break as it gets bigger. And you had mentioned, it doesn't matter if you want to become 50 or 25. I'd argue if you have one agent, even if you're your own person that's active full time, if you don't have something like a Sisu, you can't be 100 people at once. Sisu empowers you to be able to do so much more. And you talked about with the data, but people don't even know what more you could do with data. So let's pick that apart a little bit analytically. What are some of the things that the data inside of the Sisu platform empowers the leaders of the organizations running Sisu to be able to do? What kind of decisions, what choices, et cetera?
That's a fun question, Jeff. There's a lot there, but I really want to emphasize, I used to go to a lot of masterminds when I first jumped in to help Spring run her team. And by the way, her team, like yours, but her team 3 years ago when Sisu launched in 19 did about 150 transactions, then 350, then 500. And this year should do over 1,000.
It's so awesome.
It's just putting the right systems in place and becoming a great leader, which she has done.
Yep. She has.
So, but if you look at just like what is the data that you want to know? Well, if you're leading a sales team, you need to know where your agents are falling short. Like, where is the breakdown? Is it they're going on a lot of appointments and they're not converting those appointments? If you can see that visually, you can make a difference as their coach. So that's one. But then for you, like as a leader of an ops team, to be able to have systems in place where everybody is dialed in and you can see what tasks are overdue. You can see which admin are falling behind. Do you lead your team that way? Or if you're the leader of a business and you're trying to make great decisions, I see all these teams that what they'll do is they'll let's just take Zillow as an example. They'll give their Zillow leads round robin to everybody on the team. Well, if you guys would actually know your numbers and look at your data, let's just say you have a 20 agent team, there's really 7 agents that are converting those really well. And you could double your Zillow business if you just gave those leads to the right agents. And the people who convert Up City leads are different than the people that convert Zillow leads. So you need to know which ones. And it's only because their mindset is this Up City lead is not good. I'm not going to follow up on that, but I'm going to follow up on the Zillow leads. Or for someone else, it's the reverse. But you don't know that unless you have the data.
Well, and
so you're spending all this money giving it away to agents who don't really care.
I love it. Those are all perfect examples. People talk about the 80-20 rule. 20% of your input gets you 80% of your output. Sisu or an Excel spreadsheet, which Sisu is that on steroids, it gives you the ability to not only be able to pinpoint where your agent's 20% is coming from, but now you're empowered to help that agent spend more time in that 20%. So what I mean by that is you have internet leads, you have sphere of influence leads, and you have outbound prospecting leads. If the agent's spending all of their time in their sphere, but all their deals are coming from outbound prospecting at open houses, as a leader, you should help make them aware of that. And then you should help them become even better at that one thing that they're doing, and then hold them accountable to doing that one thing. And that's been what put us on a map. Is we always have been talking about culture, leads, lead conversion, accountability, systems, and strategies. Sisu puts all of that into one platform. And it's the only platform I know of, and I apologize to be tooting your horn, but it's the only platform I know of that can do all of it. It does everything. It's incredible. It's a Swiss Army knife of platforms to hold people accountable.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not anybody. There are a lot of CRMs in the business, and we're not a CRM. You need two pieces of software in your business as a real estate team owner, and it's really your CRM and Sisu. And what most people don't understand is, like, it's really important to be able to forecast your income, right? If you're an effective real estate coach out there today, you're coaching sometimes people that aren't even making money and they don't know it. Yep. It's important that you can look at it and say, okay, in one click, what am I going to make this month? And that is, okay, GCI is one thing, but what's your net, right? And then what's my forecast for next month based on what we have under contract? Those kinds of things you should know real time.
And you'll see, if you're watching over Brian's shoulder, he's got a Sisu board kind of going through the different screens. And what I loved is just, I talk about Excel because a lot of people use it still. A lot of the brokerage solutions don't do a great job or don't work, period. And a lot of people just say, screw it, I'm going to go back to Excel. But I'd say most do nothing. Most don't track. They can go search it on the MLS, or maybe their broker gives them a report, but they don't really have any way to quantify any data.
Well, even this, Jeff, let's talk about reducing duplicate entry. So most people will have their agent fill out an intake form in a Google form when somebody goes under contract. And that's how the information gets to the TC. Well, now, number one, it's in a Google form. So you don't have any data. You don't have any analytics on that. You don't have any reporting, any visualization. If it's in Sisu, you have visualization. If it's in Sisu, we pulled half of that information in from your CRM versus, again,
I want to share this because Brian might not, but they have full integration with like the top 10 CRMs in the nation. Command, Sync, Boomtown, you name it, they're fully integrated. So what he's saying is, if you execute your contract from Boomtown, which I can do in Dotloop, it then can auto populate in Sisu. It automatically is in Sisu because you started it in any of these other CRM platforms. Sorry,
yeah,
continue.
So now you have the name, address, phone number, email, lead type, lead date,
purchase price, commission payout amount.
So most people don't have lead price or commission payout amount until it gets into Sisu. Like, CRMs don't track that. Once an appointment gets set, or once they get marked hot in the CRM because you think you can get it under contract in the next 30 days, now it's going to move from your CRM into Sisu. And now that tracking the set to met, to signed, under contract, to closed, to what your commissions are going to be, the commission management is in Sisu. So it's just basically making it, though, so that data, again, if we're taking these intake forms, now your TC doesn't have to take that same data and put it into Trello. Once again, duplicate entry.
Yep.
Now in Trello, how are you going to know that data as it goes under contract? Well, you're going to take it and you put it into a spreadsheet so that you can know what's closing this month. That's just so much wasted effort. And to give you an example of this, when Spring was doing 150 transactions, she had 3 whiteboards in her office. She had 3 TCs. Each of them had a whiteboard that had the tape lines, those thin black tape lines.
Oh yeah.
And
we had that whiteboard in the beginning.
Yeah. Check boxes.
And here's the thing that's challenging, I think, Brian, and I talk to people all the time about Sisu. A lot of our guests that we bring on that are team leaders and broker owners talk about Sisu now. Everybody has it. And one of the things that I find so fascinating is that most did at one point use the whiteboard, and now are seeing the tech solution is necessary for growth. But if you're a team out there right now and you are a one-person show, or you only have 2 or 3 agents, why not use the whiteboards? This is, of course, a little rhetorical and you can answer it, but why not keep it lean and simple? Why adopt into all the technology if you don't need to? Let's say you're in LA, your average sales price is 1.2 million. You only do 7 deals a year and you're making more money than most people across the country. Why would I need Sisu? What's that really going to do for me?
Yeah, I'm going to give you 2 examples. So let's just take that small team. You need systems in place to streamline and automate. Like, take, for example, I know all of you send out a congratulations, we're under a contract email. that goes out when you go under contract, and it goes out to the agent, the cooperating TC, mortgage, title, whoever, right? Mm-hmm. Do you really want your person spending time sending that out, or do you want it just be automated? The data is in our platform. Just let it go out once somebody goes under contract, right? It shouldn't include a human person making that happen.
Love it.
So
I'll jump in with my answer to that, my question, and that is simple functions like return on investment. I can't tell you how many agents I've said, hey, what's your number one lead source? They say an answer. I then say, what do you pay for that lead source? They're not sure, but they give me a guess. And then I say, what's your return on investment for that lead source? Nobody knows the answer unless they're Sisu clients. Nobody knows. You don't know your ROI. You're paying money on these leads and don't know what you're making. And then the last piece I'll say is, what's your return on time? And then nobody knows that. So how much time did you spend? Even though you got a positive ROI, is it a positive ROT? And if it's not, then you probably should have some serious conversations about where you should be generating your leads from.
So I would want to add one more question to that, Jeff, and it's which agents are converting high on that lead source? Because you shouldn't give this round robin, Shark Tank, whatever you want to call it. Yep. Your lead should go to the people who convert those leads at a high level.
I love it. We could talk about this forever. Brian, you're always a great guest to bring on. And the intent wasn't just to make a huge Sisu advertisement. And what I would say is, if you don't have the solutions that Sisu offers, look for those solutions. Either create them yourself. And how much money have you guys spent so far on R&D? Probably a couple $100 million. So it might be hard to compete against a company like Sisu, but I would just say adopt the Sisu platform. I can't imagine there being a better solution. I don't think there will be ever. I'm a pretty big believer myself. And so what would be the best way for someone to get in touch with you, Brian, and or your team to learn more, or maybe do a demo or check out the product?
Yeah, so our website is sisu.co. So sisu.co. You go there, just say request a demo, and that's the best way to learn about our platform.
Perfect. And make sure.
I was going to say, before we wrap up, don't forget, I'm going to be at your team building summit on July 4th.
Yep, he is.
Through 4th, I believe it is.
June 1st through the 3rd. Brian and Spring are taking the stage as keynote speakers on June 2nd. They're leaving on the 3rd for a skiing trip, but we will get to spend all day with them on the 2nd. They're going to do an amazing job. They have something special planned for you guys. So go check that out. If you want $100 off of your ticket, just put in the word podcast at the top of the screen. You can find all the information out about our June 1st through the 3rd event at theteambuildingsummit.com. And Brian, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Omaha.
Yeah, likewise. It's going to be a good time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on today.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for having me.